Modern Star Trek divides the fan base, but once in a while it produces an absolute winner. Strange New Worlds featured one of Trek's best space battles in years. Captain Pike and the Enterprise crew locked in a desperate fight for survival against a relentless and terrifying enemy. Let me tell you the story of New Trek's best space battle.
I thought that I looked appropriately sinister.
Now, to call New Trek hit and miss is an understatement. Some entries turn off a lot of longtime fans, while others give them hope that there might still be some life in the franchise. Nothing embodies this sense of whiplash more than Strange New Worlds. Unlike Discovery and Picard, it's very episodic. Every week they can kind of hit the reset button and have a new chance to impress. It's not perfect, but there are some real gems, including Memento Mori, which for my money has the best space battle modern Star Trek has ever been able to pull off. The opening setup conjures up a great sense of rising dread. The Enterprise crew investigate a colony that's gone dark. They're greeted by what is for Star Trek a shocking amount of gore.
Not an evacuation, a massacre.
A ship of survivors shows up. They're dazed and confused. They don't know what it was that hit them. The transporters won't work, so they begin evacuating them to the Enterprise the old-fashioned way. La'an, the security chief, is on edge. A child survivor mentions monsters, and describes the noise that they make. This gives La'an a sudden epiphany, and she realizes what's about to happen. She tells the bridge to perform a specific kind of scan, and sure enough, there's something strange lurking just behind a nearby moon. Captain Pike orders shields up, but it can't be done because of the evacuation tube. The Enterprise is a sitting duck. That's when the mystery ship reveals itself and attacks.
It's the Gorn.
Now, the Gorn are a classic Star Trek alien from the original series. Captain Kirk famously battled one in the episode Arena. They hadn't been used much since. The rubber suit looks hokey, and it's one of these things they chose not to revive for TNG, DS9, or Voyager. They made a brief appearance in the prequel show Enterprise, this time in CGI and a little more acrobatic. But in Strange New Worlds, it's made clear from the get-go that we should forget what little we think we know about the Gorn. This version is a full reimagining, and all bets are off.
We are prey. When they hunt, they're unrelenting.
Enterprise is severely damaged by the Gorn ambush, and takes refuge in a brown dwarf circling a black hole. The Gorn are hunters, and the wounded Enterprise is their prey. Now, I know what you're going to say. We've all seen Kirk battle Khan in the Mutara Nebula, and this certainly owes something to that classic battle. But there's no shame in borrowing from the best, so long as you put a new twist on it. And Strange New Worlds certainly does. Khan vs. Kirk is a battle of wits between two big personalities, but a big part of what makes this whole episode work is the terror of the unknown. Throughout this entire encounter, we never actually hear from the Gorn or see what they look like. What we do learn about them is grotesque, but also strange and incomprehensible. Our understanding of what they are and what drives them is deliberately very incomplete. Other Trek shows have played around with this kind of idea, the apprehension of encountering a mysterious, unknown enemy. But here on Strange New Worlds, the concept is executed particularly well, and told in the form of a space battle that runs through the entire episode. So, the first phase was the ambush. Now Captain Pike has to figure out how to keep one step ahead of the pursuing Gorn. Both ships are blind in the clouds. The Enterprise has no shields and only one torpedo, and they can't even fire it because the brown dwarf will disrupt its guidance systems. Spock figures out an unconventional way to track the Gorn.
The navigation systems constantly take in atmospheric data to maintain stability. Marking Coriolis force readings would allow us to triangulate movement inside the gas giant.
And sure enough, it works. But when the Gorn ship pops up on the view screen, it's headed right for them. Can it see them too, or is it running blind? The Enterprise crew has to hold their nerve as the enemy closes in on them.
ETA's 1 minute.
It's a great little scene of rising tension. One of the crew members, Ortegas, is on the verge of breaking, and that's a really good choice.
Evasive maneuvers?
She's the smart aleck of the bridge crew, the cocky ace pilot.
Preparing to engage the enemy. Keep a steady helm.
Humbling her a little here, and having her be the one that wavers has an impact. It underlines how tense things are. In the end, they hold their nerve, and the Gorn passes them by. It can't detect them. The tension is released, and Pike senses a chance to take advantage. They can't fire that one torpedo they have, but they can sneak up close to the Gorn without being seen. That means the Enterprise can drop it on them rather than launch it. Pike and co celebrate, but their jubilation is cut short. This was part of the Gorn's tactics all along. They're perfectly willing to sacrifice one of their ships to draw the Enterprise out. Again, this plays into this idea of an alien whose motives and strategies they simply don't understand. The Enterprise crew use clever tactics to win, but it leads to an immediate escalation. They're in even deeper trouble now, facing off against 3 more Gorn ships. Pike thinks fast, and takes his ship deeper into the Brown Dwarf, where pressure is high. The Enterprise is a bigger, sturdier ship, and he's banking on it being able to withstand more abuse than the Gorn. This all links up with an earlier scene, where we got some insight into Pike's command strategy. We learned that La'an, the security chief, has this backstory where she got captured by the Gorn in her youth and escaped. The experience was deeply traumatic, and she only remembers bits and pieces from the encounter. Pike notices that she's troubled and gives her some advice. He tells her as a bridge officer she needs to project absolute confidence. It's the only way to inspire others that miracles are possible, and make them go beyond what they think are their limits. Now, in the heat of battle, Pike puts this into practice. The pressure on the hull grows as they lure one of the enemy ships deeper and deeper. And rather than make it abstract, we actually get to see consequences of this. Lower decks are buckling, evacuations are ordered. Some make it out, others aren't so lucky. Pike's ship is falling apart around him, but he never lets his anxiety show. His display of confidence pays off, and they outlast the Gorn ship, which crumples under the pressure. And I've got to give a little shout out to Babylon 5 here. They used a very similar scenario to this in their 3rd season. There's now 2 Gorn ships left out there somewhere in the gas cloud, a big one and a smaller one. La'an and Spock head out in a shuttle to scout. They find the Gorn engaging in a strange form of communication involving light. La'an recognizes this from her earlier encounter, but she needs to confront her trauma to regain access to her lost memories. To do this, she mind melds with Spock and retrieves the information she needs. They send light signals of their own to trick the larger ship into thinking the smaller one has been boarded.
Culling the weak makes them stronger. Survival of the fittest.
Now, this is probably the weakest part of the encounter. La'an's selective memory is a bit of a contrived plot device.
Dealing with mental trauma, resurfacing hidden memories can be painful, even dangerous.
And despite kind of teasing that there might be some kind of cost or negative consequence to this mind meld, there aren't any. So now we go to the final phase. There's one big ship left, and the Enterprise is no match for it. So Pike hatches a plan to fake their own demise.
Gravitational redshift is an optical illusion that occurs as an object falls into a black hole. To any outside observer, it would appear as though the object has stopped just outside the black hole.
The Enterprise emerges from hiding and the big ship pursues. They drop a large piece of machinery out the airlock and detonate it at just the right moment, tricking the Gorn into thinking they've been destroyed. Now, all this time there's been this B-plot in the cargo hold. Fresh-faced cadet Uhura is shadowing Hemmer, the grumpy engineering chief. They get stuck in the cargo hold and have to rely on each other to keep the ship in one piece. It's a cute character piece, and it pays off in the final act as Pike's plan puts these 2 people we know in direct jeopardy.
Uhura, report.
We're still here.
With that, the Gorn leave and the Enterprise survives, limping back to base for repairs. In the aftermath, we get a moment to breathe and reflect on the consequences. 7 dead crewmen, and the knowledge that the Gorn are expanding their hunting grounds. And then we cut to credits, without any needless faffing around. This space battle is ambitious. It spans nearly the whole episode, and it does nearly everything right. The initial ambush puts the Enterprise on the back foot against a relentless enemy that they don't understand. After that, we get a cycle of tension and release that keeps things moving all the way to the finale. The battle against the first ship is a test of nerves, and a show of ingenuity by Pike. The fight against the second ship shows Pike's command philosophy put into practice. We really learn a lot about what kind of captain he is in this episode. Taking out the third ship has more good character moments, with La'an having to confront her trauma in order to make the breakthrough. All that leading us to the final movement, a battle that can't be won, only survived. It's not without its faults. Like I said, La'an's selective memory is slightly contrived, and there are no consequences for her mind meld. And in later episodes, when they do reveal more about the Gorn, it's a little underwhelming. They're basically xenomorphs. But this space battle is still a gem. proof New Trek can occasionally get it right. But what do you think? Is my praise misplaced? Are there any other moments that made you reconsider the potential of New Trek? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, I'll be seeing you.